Always fresh and a little bit sticky. Keep it locked down, Cannabis Wiki. We're always fresh and a little bit sticky. The green room on Cannabis Wiki.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Green Room live from Cannabis Wiki Conference and Expo 2023 in beautiful London, Ontario. Hey Dee.
Hey Jackie.
How are you?
Good. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. My interviews are going smooth. Everything's good. There's a little pep in the air today. I don't know. I'm having a good day. You?
Yeah.
Yeah, day two. Day two of year two. Dee, we survived.
Yeah, exactly.
And our guest today is David Lobo from the OCS. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to our hot seat.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be in London. Happy to be talking to a lot of retailers and producers. This is where the energy's at.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time and thanks so much for doing this, truly.
Of course.
So we
yeah,
know you're a very busy
yeah,
man. And what is the OCS?
yeah. So the OCS is the Ontario Cannabis Store.
Okay.
We are an agency of the Government of Ontario. And our primary role is to be the wholesaler and distributor of cannabis in Ontario. So we buy a lot of cannabis from licensed producers across Canada, and we ship it to 1,700 retailers.
1,700.
We move about 1,200 kilograms a day.
Wow.
A day, Jackie.
A day
Jesus.
across Ontario, which is more than 1 million square
Which
kilometers.
is way more than my drug dealer.
That's a lot of cannabis. A lot of cannabis. So big responsibility, and the stores count on us
Wow.
to get the product they need to serve their consumers.
I wondered what the OCS actually did. I have an adult son and he's like, I always order off the OCS. I'm like, what is the OCS really? What is it? I go to meetings and we have a lot of things where we hear the OCS come up. I'm like, what do they actually do? Like, I think of Health Canada, OPP, OCS.
Yeah. So think of it as a lot of products that are shipped to a warehouse and shipped around the province, trucks,
like
and boxes,
Amazon?
like a portion of it. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
There's a big part of that. We do sell online as well as an e-commerce retailer, mostly focused on serving the communities in Ontario that don't have stores.
Okay.
A lot of remote communities. And then there's still some stigma. People that prefer, believe it or not, there's a very small population in Ontario, but people prefer to buy from the government because
I know people.
they're nervous.
Yeah.
They're nervous to buy from, to walk into a private store. And that's changing over time, but as this is a new marketplace, there's still a little bit of that.
It's also hard for, I'll say seniors, older people, to differentiate what's legal and what's not, what's okay. You know, they want
That's a big problem.
so
yeah.
consistency and safety and all that's important to them. So that's why I think they turn to the OCS, right? The government
Absolutely.
stamp is
Yes.
always meant this is going to be safe and this is, you know.
Yeah, we have to operate at a high standard possible. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
High standards.
High standards.
For
There
the
you go.
OCS.
There you go. That's the only way to do it.
So how was your fireside chat today with our CEO, Derek Burney?
It was great. We had a good chat. Listen, there's so much we can talk about when you're building a whole industry all at once. We could have talked all day, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a good chat, and I think we highlighted some of the challenges and solutions that you're bringing that are within your control, and stayed away from the negativity, because at the end of the day, cannabis is legal here in Canada, and everybody should be happy about that, and the fact like you were pointing out that, hey, it's we're increasing in revenue quarter over quarter. So it's not perfect, but hey, we're working, getting there, and it's like a startup where you have to you work in the system, and you might have to pivot a little here, a little there, introduce this, that, get to know your customer, and I think you're doing a great job at that.
I appreciate you saying that, although we're off stage now, so you can tell me if I missed it all. You can tell me. You can tell me. Now you can ask me the real hard hitting questions.
Okay, do you smoke cannabis?
I do consume cannabis.
Okay.
I am maybe a little bit more of a weekend warrior. For me, it is, there's a social aspect to it for sure, and I love the ritual and the community aspect to it. I'm a little bit more into it on the wellness side, I would say, as well. And just a curiosity standpoint, I mean, we are launching 800 new products
Wow.
a quarter. I used to know
Wow.
every single product that we're launching. Obviously now I rely on a team that really focuses on that. But I'm curious from time to time to see how the products are evolving. And, there's no better way than to buy it yourself, open it up and just check it and, consume. So a little bit here and there. Similar with alcohol, it's
Right.
from time to time, and there's a social aspect.
Jealous. Imagine the access he has to cannabis and what he has
In the
access
warehouse?
to. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
buy all my I walk into a store like everyone else. I talk to the bud tender and I buy the cannabis and
Wow.
yeah, that's
I was
it.
going to ask
no,
you
no
next.
special privilege
You don't get
here.
special privilege. you
No,
don't have a special
no.
safe at home with.
No.
These are not launching until the fall.
I get to learn about what's coming down the pipe. So I get to hear and read about the products, 4 or 5 months before they launch. That's an exciting part.
Are
but
you
that's about it.
are you able to tell us anything that you thought was fascinating? Anything you thought was really cool or really interesting? Like, I don't know, when the infused pre-rolls came out and there's like the hash snake in the middle and
Yeah.
all the keef on the
Yeah.
outside. Like, it's gore. Like, I never thought we'd see that in legal market.
There is so much innovation happening, and I think that's why people say to us sometimes, especially if you come from another industry, why are you launching so many products? And we've stepped back. We developed a new strategy last year when I came into this role on a permanent basis, and we said, listen, we're getting about 2,000 to 3,000 new SKU submissions every quarter, and we were only launching maybe 200-300 products a quarter. And we said, you know what? We've got to give these producers a chance to compete. We've got to get to a point, and it's still aspirational because there's a huge gap, but get to a point where virtually any product that a producer wants to bring to market, as long as it meets baseline regulatory and quality requirements,
Right.
give them a chance to compete. And that competition is what's blowing our mind with innovation. So you look at any category since legalization or since Cannabis 2.0 products were allowed,
Right.
it's shocking the innovation. I mean, I saw a product yesterday, and I won't name names, but I saw a vape that's in the works that's the shape of a Bic lighter.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah, I hope they don't mind me saying it.
That's cool.
I think they're coming out soon, but there's a lot of cool stuff, and there's packaging innovation, there's product formulation information, innovation, and then there's category innovation. So it's incredible to see across the board. It's nice to see some of these minor cannabinoid products coming to market. People are learning about CBC and CBG
Really
and
cool.
THCV.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's a huge learning curve, right?
Yep.
To understand how many cannabinoids there are in this plant and what they could
Many
potentially
more.
do.
We haven't even
Many
discovered
more.
them.
Oh
We
my
haven't even
God.
discovered them. So.
It's to be at the start of this curve. I mean, 50 years, 100 years, the people are in this industry looking back. Wow. Like this is each of these individual ingredients are a whole world on their own.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, because you had mentioned it up when we were talking about, like, kind of like Coke. You used an example of like Coca-Cola, and you're like, you go to the store, you know what you're gonna get. They're probably gonna carry like the Coke line, and you kind of want to get that, normalized in the
Consistency.
cannabis. Yeah, the consistency. But like, cannabis, I think, is like a unique product in that even if it's good, like, you could have the best cannabis, and even if it's really good, I'm still gonna eventually want another choice. So like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know if it's because of the endocannabinoid system or what, but it's like, no matter, like, okay, for instance, like in beer, say you like Budweiser, you'll drink Budweiser all the time. But in cannabis, it's like, I could love this strain that someone came out with, and maybe I'll like it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. But then there's going to come a time when I'm going to go to the store and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to take this strain.
Yep.
But do you have something else to, because there's just something with cannabis that, and even stores, they cycle it. So it could be doing really good, but they still have to have what's fresh. Like, that's one of the questions.
What's
like,
the new?
Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, I understand the point. I think it's a very complex and nuanced topic. First of all, I mean, when we say these things, we're painting the consumer with a broad brush, but we spend a ton of money and effort into doing a lot of consumer insight research.
Mhm.
We put that out to LPs and retailers. Here are the segments. Here's what matters to them. And we're doing that every year. Some other more mature industries, you would do that research every 3 years. We have to do it every year because cannabis is so new, and the consumer is changing their perspectives as they see what's available to them. So I'm painting with a broad brush. There are some consumers that they do want that consistency, right?
Mhm.
They want that dosage, that clear
Mhm.
dosage. They want that reliability. There are others that want that freshness. I think to me, though, when I talk about consistency, it also goes with the value of transparency. And what I mean by that is, if you are going to bring a product, if you are a brand and you are bringing a product that is going to change, be honest with the consumer. And listen, we've had a number of products, we call them rotating bags, that we've launched SKUs over the last year and a half.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's always new. The grower is trying out new genetics. They're trying out different conditions in their facility. And so each batch is going to be different, but they label it that way. They communicate to the stores, this is what this latest batch brings.
It's like a
That
milled flour.
transparency, yeah. And I think that's where it kind of falls off, when you've got a consumer that comes in and thinks they're getting the same thing,
Mhm.
but you know it's different.
Right.
That's the gap, and that's a disappointing experience. Or if you are going to say it's consistent, we've got to improve that consistency over time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there is some brands that are doing it really well, and they're upfront about it. Hey, this is the kind of vibe you're going to get from it, but it's not necessarily going to be the same cultivar. But we're going to curate it and make sure that it is consistent and good. And those brands are excelling. So
Yeah.
that's a good point you
And
make.
it's never lost on me that it's a plant and it's difficult to tame and to produce and especially mass produce. And when I talk about us moving 1,000, 100,000, 200 kilos a day, there are a lot of craft smaller growers that we've brought online into the Ontario market in the last year. In an entire month, they may only grow 20 or 30 kilos.
Wow.
Right? So the scale is big in a province the size of Ontario. But as a grower, you've got to figure out, okay, how do I find my niche? How do I deliver on what I promised and have that consistency? I mean, we've still got a lot of producers that we will give them a purchase order for a certain amount of units of product that we need.
Mhm.
And they can only deliver 60, 70, 80% of that product. I understand that. I understand those learning curves, but we have to get over that, because that means that 20 or 30% of the time when a customer walks into store and they may want that product, it's just not there. And they're
Right.
going to go to somebody else.
And that's why they use Weed Panion, so they
They
can
use
find
Panion.
where the cannabis is that they want in real time.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Nice
so
plug.
Yeah.
that makes that makes a lot of sense. It's very complex.
Very, very
complex.
complex.
It's very complex. There's a lot of factors going on. The one thing that I did hear from some brands, because I was talking with them and saying, like, what's your challenges? And they said that, like, for instance, sometimes it doesn't, and they said, like, with communication with the OCS, then it does get better. But sometimes, like, for instance, they're calculated based on the full time instead of just when they were in stock. So, like, say you did a purchase order and then that sold out in 4 weeks.
Yep.
But then now there was 2 weeks that they didn't have any, and then there's transport time of, like, when the order comes in. So say 3 weeks, then that whole time would be factored in to what the velocity of the sale is for the order. So then it's not, they have to communicate with you guys in order to get, hey, let's bump that up, because really we could have sold 4,000 units instead of the 2,000, but we're averaging it by the time that was out of stock too. If that makes
We
sense.
call it counting the zeros.
Okay.
Counting the zeros, right? Well, how do you factor it into your replenishment orders if a product was out of stock for certain weeks? And I
Okay.
think I always remind folks, listen, OCS was a startup like everybody else at the beginning. We had to build out our infrastructure. And when you think about product flow, demand planning, inventory planning, to some that's a bit of a boring topic. We're a wholesaler, we're a distributor. We relish those conversations. And it's about the science and the art. So we're moving a ton of product at scale. We need algorithms that are going to do this. They're going to help us forecast what's in stock.
Right.
But we also need a team of demand planners who get to know the LPs, understand what are the conditions they're dealing with in terms of the variability of that product to be able to bring us the units we need and marry that together. So we have evolved. That was one of the challenges that a number of producers raised to us in the first couple of years. I'm glad to say in the last year, we've pretty much overcome that challenges. We don't factor in the zeros anymore, and we make sure that from what they say they can deliver, and then what they actually deliver is what counts, and then of course what the consumer's pulling or the retail store's pulling from our inventory.
Nice.
Yeah. No one ever asked those kind of niche questions. Thank you.
Well, I spend a lot of time talking with brands and hearing what their pain points are. Yeah. And so the other thing is, like, what I've heard, and maybe you guys have fixed this too, is that, like, sometimes the purchase order will be out. So, like, you guys would estimate, like, say, hey, this is a hot new product, like, let's say an infused pre-roll, and then but maybe that's not, the purchase order is not till, like, say June, so they might over or under send, like, it's not, the data's not well, what can I say, it's when they were expecting it, say in January, there was, they were super hot. Now the market's maybe cooled down on infused pre-rolls a little bit, so instead of shipping 40,000 units, maybe they should only ship 25,000, and otherwise it'll start to get stale in the ecosystem, which they don't want, right? Because some people want, oh, well, what's the freshest lot number and that. So totally. It's like they want to, and I guess, you kind of answered that. It's, you got to just optimize your systems so that you get the right mix there, I guess.
This is the challenge. I don't think anybody has worked in an industry where trends change this quickly.
Right.
800 new products a quarter, right? This is a fast-moving industry. So you're absolutely right that it's possible from when you look at a data point to when you actually realize that purchase order, getting fulfilled, shipped to us, and then out to the retailer. A whole world could have changed in that period of time. So we've tried to marry this up. Listen, we put purchase orders out with relatively short period of time. So we give them a window in terms of when they deliver to us. And then we give them long-term data. Say, here's what the velocity is. Here's what we think it's going to be mapped out. And they can see how that changes with their sales. So it's a delicate balance. And that's the art and science of inventory management. And I think we were talking about this on stage, but we've launched our second fulfillment method in Flow-Through. And in that case, we don't even do that role. We give that opportunity to the LP, and we say, each week you put into our portal how many units you want to put into our portal that you can deliver to the LPs, to the retailers. Right. And whatever the retailers order, we will give you a purchase order and you can ship it to us immediately. And that's empowered certain producers who think that they can manage their inventory better than us. It's empowered them to do so. And that's great. If they can do that, power to them.
I think
well, it's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing to do. And some are doing it, some aren't.
And maybe it's good that they see how difficult it is to do. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to show them.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that I think that we didn't cover when we were on the stage there is how the flow-through model fosters relationships between the LP and the retailer, which I think is some of the complaints from them, that, like, they don't have that relationship. Like, some LPs don't know, like, sure, they know that 98 retailers bought their product, but they don't know where it actually went. And they want to help the retailer, like, sell that, or if they got, how should we sell it, train their bud tenders, that sort of thing. So I think that flow through, a byproduct of it is also getting them aligned.
Yeah, close the gap. Close the gap. Yeah, no, it's great. Really, really great question. I think for us, and I alluded to this before, when you are supporting almost 1,700 retailers, you're working with 250 producers, all shapes and sizes, all backgrounds, we have to think of the unintended consequences of when we launch something new and make sure that it's going to benefit the most people possible. And so when we think about how do we facilitate that interaction, yes, we do have the data on which stores buy their products. We give that data to LPs right now on a more so regional basis. As long as there's 5 stores in an area, we'll give you that view. But you're right, it's not so precise that they can say, hey, that's the store that bought my product. I'm going to go help them and their bud tenders understand my product, so I'm helping them sell it.
Right.
That is a question. It's an open question if we do that. But when we do that, we want to make sure this is the retailer's data. Right. That's their sales. They're our customers. We have to make sure they're comfortable with the privacy aspect of that, because they're going to get bombarded by producers. And maybe they want that, and that's great, but we just have to be very conscious of it. So it is something that's on our radar. I wouldn't say that it's something we're working on to solve today or tomorrow, but I do think it's something we may cross, and we're just going to have to bring together as large of a group of retailers and producers as we can to talk out this, to talk about the benefits and risks, and then make a decision that hopefully is right for the marketplace.
Right.
And yeah, if we can close that gap, that's great.
Because like I can envision it like, say I know a certain retailer's doing great for us, then I now want to talk to him and like, well, why are you doing great? You know, because now I want to, you know, help other retailers, you know, do great with our product. But then also I might use the flow through to say, hey, you were doing great. I want to reward you. We're coming out with this new strain. We're only growing a limited amount. This is going to be a real craft batch. And, you know, since you are basically, you know, pushing us, we're going to help you. So guess what? In Windsor, you're the only one who has this strawberry cough that, you know, we only grew 30 kilograms.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you could see that it could be a way.
Again, I
for
go back
brands
to
to,
vibrant marketplace. We have to build for complexity, just like what you're talking about, and that's what it's about. It's about putting these things into place one step at a time.
Yep.
You know, what's going to be the most impactful, because I think everybody wants to know that whatever we do helps to increase the legal share of the pie. And so not all these things may actually move the needle as much as the others, but that's okay. And we're just trying to work through those one step at a time to get there. And, you know, flow through is really only about 6-7 months in. Takes about a year and a half, in my opinion, to perfect a distribution platform. And I think we're very committed to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we're very committed to doing that. See, I believe him. I think.
You can ask me again in a year. And we will see if
we'll
it
have to
happens.
revisit this conversation in a year.
That is fair.
So OCS, how do we find you? How do we reach out if we need any educational, promotional, whatever the material is that you offer?
Yeah,
How
I mean, listen.
is it the
it's
OCS.ca?
Nice,
or?
simple URL, OCS.ca. We're hoping to make that site more of a, let's say, a front door into all things cannabis, a homepage that it's not just about our brand, it's about the retailers, it's about the producers and everybody else. And so, you know, you want to connect with us, get on there. We've got a great customer service team. We're at conferences like this. We've got our Cannabis Made Clear social responsibility booth here. I hope everyone will feel that we are trying to be as accessible as possible. And it's a big marketplace, but it is one conversation at a time that moves the needle.
Came on the green room, so
There you go. Exactly.
that's transparency.
There you go. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on the Green Room live from the Cannabis Wiki Conference and Expo 2023 in London, Ontario. Peace.
Peace.
We're always fresh and a little bit sticky. The Green Room on Cannabis Wiki.